Hi, I'm A.E. Chandler. I'm an author and a medievalist. Part of my graduate dissertation at the University of Nottingham was on 13th century English longbows, and today we're going to be talking about 5 myths that have to do with longbows. So the first myth we're going to be dealing with is that English yew was the best wood for making a longbow in the medieval period, and it actually wasn't. People in the medieval period didn't think this. In the medieval period, they preferred northern Italian yew. And it's understandable why people would think that English yew would be the best, because the English archers during the 100 Years' War with France were really pivotal, and also because Robin Hood would have used a bow of English yew, possibly. So Northern Italian yew is redder and it has a shorter grain, and the downside of that is that it breaks more easily, but the upside is that it has a sharper cast, so that means that your arrow's going farther. A bow made of Northern Italian yew could outshoot a bow of English yew, even if the English yew bow was 20 pounds heavier draw weight. And that means that you don't have to pull as hard to get the same distance, or if you're pulling just as hard, you're getting more distance, and both of those are good things. So in the medieval period, English archers in the 100 Years' War were probably looking for bows of Northern Italian yew rather than their native English yew. But we heart yew no matter what. If you're interested in any I Heart You merch, you can check out the description below for a link. The second myth that we're going to be talking about today is that the longbow is simple. And people have been saying this because it's just a stick, right? Well, not really. This bow that I made is made out of English ash. And the reason that I was told to use this kind of wood for my first bow is that it's much easier to work with than yew. Yew can take years to properly season to make a bow, and you have to make sure that you're taking into account all of the knots, all of the inconsistencies in the wood, that you're getting the sapwood and the heartwood in the correct proportion, that you're shaping the bow correctly, and that it doesn't break during training, like this guy. So he's actually not able to be shot because he is broken in half and then glued back together. It's a very difficult process making a bow, and even then, when you get it to the archer might be making all of these little adjustments with the bow, with the arrows, with the fletching, just with so many different things, because if anything is even slightly off, that's going to affect your shot, especially when you're doing long distance shooting. And if you're hunting or in a combat situation, you really want to make sure that you're getting as much range as possible so that you can hit your target even without being right up close to somebody who's swinging a sword at you, or to an animal that can sense that you're there and is going to run away, and you're going to end up going hungry instead of getting your dinner. So it's actually a deceptively simple looking weapon, because it is incredibly hard to make one that shoots accurately and that does everything that it's supposed to do and doesn't break. And the third myth is that in a lot of movies you see them walking around with the bow strung, and they're just kind of, and you wouldn't want to actually walk around with the bow strung. The reason that this guy is strung is that as you can see, the string actually isn't tightened properly, so it's just hanging very loosely on here because I use him as decoration, because he is broken and you can't shoot with him anyway. But in the movies, of course, the bow is strung and they just kind of slip it off and it's ready to go and they shoot, and that's not what you would want to be doing with your bow. Ideally, with your bow, when it's completely unstrung, you don't want it curving back towards you like that. You actually want it curving away from you. And then when you string it, you actually have to bend it from being, a convex to a concave. And that means that your bow will have a lot more snap. It's under a lot more tension. It's gonna give you, more distance, and it's gonna be a better shot. You don't really want a weak bow that's already concave towards you. So when you're actually carrying around your bow, what you carry it around in would be a linen bag that you just kind of slip it in full length, and then you would only take it out and string it when you are actually hunting something or you were actually in a battle. You wouldn't just kind of carry it around strung. And this leads into the fourth myth, which is that when people in the movies are carrying around their strung bow, they're carrying it around on their shoulder. And you wouldn't want to do that for the same reason, which is that it's under an incredible amount of pressure, and depending on what the brace height is, which is the height in between the bow and the string when it's actually under tension, fully strung, it could be cutting off circulation to your arm and causing a lot of pain and a lot of damage there. So you really wouldn't want to be doing that in real life either. Well, there is an exciting announcement about the best-selling novel, The Scarlet Forest: A Tale of Robin Hood. It's going to be coming out soon as an audiobook. And this is particularly exciting for me because I listen to audiobooks all the time, and this was a format that I really wanted to get the book into, and I finally had the opportunity to do that with the help of British actor Joel Benedict. He's going to be narrating. He's doing so many voices until you actually start putting together the script instructions. You don't realize how many different characters and different voices and different accents there are. There are 6 songs in the book, and he's actually going to be singing them. Figured out tunes for all of them. They are going to be sung. So that's going to be really interesting, I think. And yeah, he's just done such a great job with all of the many accents and characters and just everything. So I'm really excited that this is going to be coming out soon, so keep an eye out. And the 5th myth about longbows for this time actually has to do with arrows. You see a lot of movies where they have a quiver strapped to their back and then they draw the arrow out of it. And this is something that is more from the Victorian era when they were doing target archery. It's not something that they were doing during the medieval period. In the medieval period, they wouldn't have a quiver, they would have an arrow bag. And this would, again, be a linen bag. It would have a leather spacer in the middle, which would look kind of like a pancake with a bunch of holes poked in it. And there would be a sheaf of arrows, 24 arrows, all poked through there. The leather holds them in. And then this would be tied to their belt on their back. And then you'd actually have the arrows pointing down. So feathers up here, pointing down with the head, and then in 2 motions you draw it out of the arrow bag, and then you would use it. So that's how arrows would typically be carried during the medieval period. And if you've enjoyed this video, you can check out the other videos on this channel for more original history. Or the first book in the Questionable Quizzes series, this is the full series paperback. All of the individual books are ebooks. The first ebook in the Questionable Quizzes series is going to be on sale for free for a week in honor of April Fool's Day. So the humor quiz book is going to be free on Apple and from a number of other stores. And check out the description for links to those free books. Thanks.